Greetings! Mantaray79 here, and welcome back to another deck profile video for the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game. And now in today's video, the deck profile I'm going to be making one for is a premium formats. Kagero's Dragonic Overlord the Cross with Harmonics Messiah. Alrighty, let's begin. And here we are in the Grade 0 lineup. For the Grade 0 of this deck, we are playing 1 Grade 0 Lizard Soldier Conroe. The Grade 0 Lizard Soldier Conroe starting unit. Skills for skill auto. When another Kagero rides this unit, you may call this card to rearguard circle. Second skill, action as a rearguard. Cost, counterblast 1 and retire this unit. If the cost is paid, search your deck for up to 1 Grade 1 or less Kagero, reveal it to your opponent, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So for Lizard Soldier Conroe, it's the starting unit of this deck. And if its skill is the first skill, just by riding any Kagero unit on top of Conroe, you'll be able to superior call Conroe from your soul to the rear guard to serve as a potential attacker, booster, or a rear guard whose skill you wish to make use of later in the game. And second skill, just by paying the cost, you can then add any Grade 1 or less Kagero from your deck to your hand, giving you any option to get a specific Grade 1 or lower card you wish to make use of later in the game. And if that just about covered the deck's Grade 0 lineup, now for the Grade 1 lineup. And now for the Grade 1 lineup. For the Grade 1s of this deck, we are playing 4 Grade 1 Lizard General Conroe, 4 Grade 1 Doombringer High Flame, 4 Grade 1 Calamity Tower Wyvern, and 2 Grade 1 Heat Shot Dragon. The Grade 1 Lizard General Conroe. Skills, first skill, auto. Choose a Grade 3 card from your hand and reveal it. When this card unit is placed on the rearguard circle from hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 Grade 3 card of Overlord in its card name, reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. Choose a card from your hand and discard it. Second skill, action as a rearguard. Cost, retire this unit. Choose up to 1 of your Vanguards of Overlord in its card name, and until end of turn, it gets auto as a Vanguard. When this unit attacks, countercharge 2. So for Lizard General Conroe, a support card for the Overlord series, with its skills, the first skill, just by calling Conroe to the rear guard and paying the cost, you can then search your deck to secure a specific Dragonic Overlord you wish to have in your hand for later game strategies, for maybe when you wish to ride to Grade 3 or to have any other reason you wish to have an additional Grade 3 in hand. And the second skill, just by retiring Conroe from your own rear guard, you can give your Overlord Vanguard the ability to countercharge every time it attacks. So for the second skill, it's a good way to not only refund your counterblast for later skills, but this skill is stackable since the Dragonic Overlord series specializes in restanding and attacking multiple times your Vanguard. The Grade 1 Doombringer High Flame. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, choose up to 2 cards of Overlord in their card names from your drop zone, return them to your deck. If you return 1 or more cards, shuffle your deck. If you return 2 or more cards, draw a card. And the second skill, auto as a rearguard. Cost, retire this unit. If the cost is paid at the beginning of your ride phase, you may pay the cost. If you do, until end of turn, you may strike without paying the cost the next time you strike a G unit with Overlord in its card name. So for Doombringer High Flame, another support card for the Overlord series, with its skills, the first skill, just by calling High Flame to the rear guard and paying the cost, not only do you get to restock your deck with more cards, but to also draw an extra card to increase your hand size. And the second skill, as long as the conditions of the second skill are met and you pay the cost, for that turn, you can strike an Overlord G unit without having to pay any cards from your hand, just like saving up cards in your hand for your strike cost. The Grade 1 Calamity Tower Wyvern. Skill, action as a rearguard. Cost, Soul Blast 1 and retire this unit. If the cost is paid, one of your vanguards get plus 15,000 power until end of turn. So for Calamity Tower Wyvern, a pretty powerful card to play in your Kagero decks, especially for the Overlord series. For Wyvern skill, by paying the cost, you can give your vanguard a huge boost of power for the entire turn. And the Great One, Heat Shot Dragon, skills for skill, auto as a vanguard. When placed, cost, discard a card from your hand. If the cost is paid, draw a card. And the second skill, auto as a rear guard. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted a grade 3. If the unit it boosted is stand this unit. So for Heat Shot Dragon, a pretty good card to play in the Kagero decks, especially for the Overlord series. If it skills the first skill, just by riding Heat Shot Dragon, by paying the cost, you can drop and draw, thus helping you maintain and draw more cards to help get your hand to get the cards you need for your later game strategy. And the second skill, after boosting an attack from a grade 3 unit, you get to restand your Heat Shot Dragon for another attack. So this second skill is a good support skill for the Overlord series that specializes in restanding and attacking multiple times as your Vanguard. And with that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 1 lineup. Next, let's get on with the Grade 2 lineup. And now for the Grade 2 lineup. For the Grade 2s of this deck, we are playing 3 Grade 2 Burning Horn Dragon, 4 Grade 2 Ignorant Dragon, and 4 Grade 2 Burn Rise Dragon. The Grade 2 Burning Horn Dragon. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, cost, counterblast 1. If the cost is paid, look at the top 7 cards to your deck, reveal up to 1 card of Overlord and its card name, and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck. If you did not reveal a card, countercharge 1. Second skill, auto as a rear guard. When your Vanguard of Overlord and its card name attacks, this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. So for Burning Horn Dragon, it's a support card for the Overlord series. If it skills the first skill, just by calling Burning Horn to the rear guard and paying the cost, you have the chance to check the top 7 cards of your deck for an Overlord card to add to your hand. So that way, with this skill, you'll have a chance to add a specific Overlord to you wish to ride for your Grade 3, or to hold on to for any other purposes you should have a additional Grade 3 Overlord in your hand for. And the best part about this first skill, it's refundable. For in the off chance you fail to get any Overlords with the first skill, you can then countercharge 1, thus refunding you the counterblast 1 that was used to pay for the first skill. And the second skill, as long as you've got Burning Horn in the rear guard, whenever your Vanguard of Overlord and its card name attacks, you can add power to Burning Horn Dragon. So for this second skill, it makes your Burning Horn Dragon a powerful front row attacker for your Overlord decks. And the best part is, this second skill is stackable. For the Dragonic Overlord series, specializes in restanding and attacking multiple times as your Vanguard. With its skill, this second skill can then keep stacking more power to your rear guard Burning Horn Dragon for every time your Vanguard Overlord attacks. The Grade 2 Ignorant Dragon. Skills for skill, auto as a Vanguard or rear guard. When placed, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Dragonic Overlord to cross from among them, put into your hand, and shuffle your deck. Second skill, auto as a rear guard. When your Vanguard attacks, if your hand has 4 or less cards, this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. So for Ignorant Dragon, it's another support card for the Overlord series, specifically Dragonic Overlord to cross. If it skills the first skill, when you ride or call Ignorant Dragon, you have the chance to check the top 7 cards of your deck to add a Dragonic Overlord to cross to your hand. So for this first skill, it's a good way to either secure a Dragonic Overlord to cross to ride with when it's time to go to Grade 3, or to have an additional Grade 3 to cross to have in your hand for any other purposes you wish to have a more or less another Grade 3 in your hand for. Any second skill, whenever your Vanguard attacks while Ignorant is in the rear guard and the conditions of the second skill are met, you can add power to Ignorant Dragon. So this second skill is a good way to make your Ignorant Dragon a powerful front row attacker for your Overlord decks. And the best part is, as long as the conditions of the second skill are met, the second skill is stackable. For the Dragonic Overlord series, is a series specializing in restanding and attacking multiple times your Vanguard. For the second skill, as long as your Vanguard restands attacks multiple times, you can keep adding more power to Ignorant, making it a powerful front row attacker to help you pressure or finish off your opponent with. And the Grade 2 Burn Rise Dragon, skill, auto as a rear guard. When your Vanguard stand by a card's ability, cost, counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand. If the cost and paid, this unit gets plus 15,000 power and plus 1 critical until end of turn. So for Burn Rise Dragon, it's a very powerful card to play in your Kagero decks, especially for Overlord series decks. With its skill, as long as you've got Burn Rise in the rear guard, whenever you restand your Vanguard by a card effect, as long as you're willing to pay the cost, you can then add 15,000 power and plus 1 critical to your rear guard Burn Rise Dragon. And the best part is, this skill is stackable. For the Dragonic Overlord series, specializes in restanding and attacking multiple times your Vanguard. So that way, the more times you restand your Vanguard in the same turn, the more power and critical is stacked to your rear guard Burn Rise Dragon, giving you a powerful front row rear guard to potentially help you pressure or finish off your opponent's whiff. And with that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 2 lineup. Next, let's get on to the Grade 3 lineup. And now for the Grade 3 lineup. For the Grade 3s of this deck, we are playing 2 Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord the Cross G format, 2 Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord the Cross V format, 4 Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord the End, the Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord the Cross G format. Skills for skill, action as a Vanguard, Legion, 22,000 power, Dragonic Overlord the End. If your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 or greater, this unit may return 4 cards from your drop zone into your deck once. Search your deck for the specified card and Legion. Second skill, auto as a Vanguard. When this unit Legion, search your deck for up to 1 card of the same card name as a unit on your Vanguard circle. Reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. The third skill, auto as a Vanguard, cost, counterblast 1, choose a card named Dragonic Overlord the Cross from your hand and discard it. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, if the attack did not hit during that battle, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 2 of your opponent's rear guards and retire them. So for Dragonic Overlord the Cross G format, it's one of the main Grade 3s to ride this deck. Its skill is the first skill. For those of you who've kept up with the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game since the original series, you should be familiar with what Legion is. When both you and your opponent have Grade 3 or higher Vanguards, once you may return 4 cards from your drop zone into your deck, then search your deck for the specified Legion mate. For in this case, the Cross's Legion mate is Dragonic Overlord the End, Legion it, and while in the Legion state, your Vanguard total power is the sum of both your Vanguard and Legion mate's power. Any second skill, when you Legion your Vanguard, you can search your deck for a copy of a card that's currently in your Vanguard circle. For in this case, either Dragonic Overlord the Cross or Dragonic Overlord the End. And the third skill, in the event that your Vanguard's attack fails to hit, by paying the cost, you can retire your opponent's rear guards. So this third skill is kind of like a compensation skill for in the event your Vanguard the Cross fails to land an attack, you can pay the cost to retire rear guards instead, thus giving you a win-win situation when you either hit your opponents with a Vanguard attack or fail to hit the opponent. The Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord the Cross V format. Skills for skill, action as a Vanguard once per turn. Cost, Soul Blast 1. If the cost is paid, search your deck for up to 1 card of Overlord and its card name that is different from this unit's. Put it into your soul, shuffle your deck, and this unit gets off that card's card name and abilities until end of turn. Second skill, continuous as a Vanguard. When your card effect would count the number of cards in your hand, is regarded as 0. Third skill, continuous as a Vanguard. If your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 or greater, this unit's drive cannot become 0 or less. So for Dragonic Overlord the Cross V format, it's one of the other main Grade 3s to ride this deck. Its skills, the first skill. By paying the cost, you can search your deck for any other Overlord besides the Cross, put it into your Vanguard soul, and for the remainder of that turn, your Vanguard acquires all of that chosen card's names and abilities, thus giving you not only the name of the specified Overlord, but also all of its skills, giving you more options in the offensive capabilities. Any second skill, whenever a card on your side would count the number of cards in your hand, it is regarded as 0, so any skills that require you to have a low number of cards in your hand, this second skill will compensate for it, thus allowing you to maintain having a large number of cards in your hand but still make use of such skills. any third skill. As long as the conditions of the third skill are met, your Vanguard's drive check cannot be reduced to 0, thus allowing you to always have a drive check ready for whenever you attack your Vanguard. The grade 3, Dragonic Overlord, the end. Skill auto as a Vanguard. At the end of the battle that it attacked, activate one of the effects below, but you cannot activate the same effect in the same turn. First effect, if your hand has 4 or less cards, cost, Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1. If the cost and paid, stand this unit, and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. Second effect, if your soul has a card of Overlord in its card name, cost, discard 3 cards from your hand. If the cost and paid, stand this unit, and it gets plus 10,000 power, drive -1 until end of turn. So for Dragonic Overlord the end, it's one of the main grade 3s to play in this deck. With skill, after attacking, you can choose to activate either one or both of the effects. For the first effect, as long as the conditions of the first effect are met and you pay the cost, you can restand your Vanguard for another attack. Any second effect, as long as the conditions of the skill are met and you pay the cost, you can also stand your Vanguard, but also give it more power for the remainder of the turn. So for the cross's skill, you have the chance to either attack your opponent's Vanguard with 2 or 3 Vanguard attacks, as long as you can meet the conditions of the end's skills. And of that, we just about covered the deck's grade 3 lineup. Next, let's get on with the trigger lineup. And now for the trigger lineup. For the triggers of this deck, we are playing 1. Grade 0, Dragon DD King of Resurgence, Drag Vita, over trigger. 4. Grade 0, Dragon Dancer Paloma, critical trigger. 3. Grade 0, Dragon Dancer Tikla, critical trigger. 4. Grade 0, Wyvern Guard Barry, draw trigger. 2. Grade 0, Dragon Dancer Tara, heal trigger. And 2. Grade 3, Dragon Dancer Nastasia, heal trigger. The Grade 0, Dragon DD King of Resurgence, Drag Vita, over trigger. Skill, trigger, additional effect. Choose one of your Vanguards and stand it. So for Drag Vita, it's the over trigger for the Dragon Empire Nation. Like any other over trigger in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation. When revealed during a drive check or damage check, you get 100 million power and draw a card, but it also features an ability unique to it alone. When revealed during a drive check on your turn, you get to restand your Vanguard for another attack. The Grade 0, Dragon Dancer Paloma, critical trigger. Skill, continuous from the hand. While paying the cost for stride, this card may be discarded as a Grade 3. So for Paloma, a powerful critical trigger to play in your Kagero decks. For skill, whenever you would require to pay cards from your hand for the stride cost of a G unit, Paloma her alone can serve as that cost, since her skill makes her get treated as a Grade 3. The Grade 0, Dragon Dancer Tikla, critical trigger. Skill, auto as a rear guard. Generation Break 1, when your Vanguard attacks, cost, put this unit into your soul. If the cost and pay, draw a card, and one of your Vanguards gets plus 10,000 power until end of battle. So for Tikla, another powerful critical trigger to play in your Kagero decks. For skill, whenever your Vanguard attacks, as long as you don't mind moving Tikla from your rear guard to your soul, not only do you get to build up your soul for the Soul Blast, but you can also draw more cards and to also give your Vanguard more power to work with. The Grade 0, Wyvern Guard Barry, Sentinel, perfect guard, draw trigger. Skills for skill, continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards of continuous Sentinel in a deck. Second skill, auto as a guardian. When placed, cost, discard a card from your hand if the cost is paid, and one of your units cannot be hit until end of battle. So for Barry, it's a perfect guard for the Kagero clan. Like any other perfect guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation. When used to guard with and discarding 1 card from your hand, you can block an enemy attack. The Grade 0, Dragon Dancer Tara, heal trigger. Skill, auto, bind this card face up and choose another card with heal from your drop zone and bind it face up. When this card is discarded for the cost of calling a G Guardian, you may pay the cost. If you do, counter charge 1 or soul charge 1. So for Tara, it's a powerful heal trigger to play in your Kagero decks. With her skill, when you use her to call out a G Guardian, you can also use her additional skill to more or less let you either refund Counter Blast or to build up your soul for later Soul Blast. And the grade 3, Dragon Dancer Nastasha, heal trigger. Skills for skill auto. When this unit is put on the Guardian Circle from hand, if you did not ride a grade 3 or greater unit during this fight, perform one of the following. First effect, choose one of your Vanguard and it gets plus 10,000 power until end of turn. Second effect, choose one of your opponent's units and it gets -2 critical until end of battle. Then the second skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle from hand, if your damage zone has no cards, put the top card of your deck into your damage zone. So for Nastasha, another powerful heal trigger to play in your Kagero decks for skill. The first skill, just by guarding with Nastasha, as long as the conditions of the first skill are met, you can choose to either give your Vanguard plus 10,000 power or reduce the attacking unit's critical by 2, thus giving you a chance to stop your opponent from rushing you too early with either a large number of consecutive attacks or a powerful high critical attack. Any second skill, just by calling Nastasha to the rear guard while the conditions of the second skill are met, you can put one card from your deck to the damage zone. This second skill is a good way to counter your opponents from using the damage denial strategy. The damage denial strategy is when your opponent prevents you from getting any counter blasts early in the game to prevent you from using any skills, thus giving you a disadvantage. With this second skill, you can break that annoying strategy and give yourself at least one counter blast to make use of in your upcoming attacks. And with that, we just about covered the deck's trigger lineup. For the triggers in this deck, we are playing 1 Over Trigger, Dragvita, 7 Critical Triggers, 4 Draw Triggers, and 4 Heal Triggers. And with the trigger lineup done, next let's get on with the deck's G-Zone. And now for the G-Zone. For the cards in this G-Zone, we are starting with the G-Units. For the G-Units in this deck, we are playing 1 Grade 4 Harmonics Messiah, 4 Grade 4 Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon Dragonic Overlord the Purge, 2 Grade 4 Flare General Dumbjet Valor, 4 Grade 4 Flare Arms Ziegenberg, and 1 Grade 4 Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon Zanbus Dragon. The Grade 4 Harmonics Messiah. Skills. First skill, continuous. You may only have 1 Harmonics Messiah G unit in a G deck. Second skill, stride step. Cost. Choose 1 or more cards from hand with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater and discard them. If the cost is paid, strike this card on your Vanguard Circle from face down. Third skill, auto. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, choose any number of your locked cards and unlock them. Choose the same number of cards from your hand as the number of cards unlocked by this effect and discard them. Fourth skill, auto. As a Vanguard or from the G-Zone. When this unit is placed on the Vanguard Circle or at the beginning of your turn, if this card is face up, your damage zone has 2 or less cards and no new card was put into your damage zone during your opponent's preceding turn. Cost. Put the top card of your deck into the damage zone. If the cost is paid, draw a card. Fifth skill, auto from the G-Zone. When your grade 1 unit is placed by riding from a grade 0, if you went second, cost, reveal this card. If the cost is paid, put a Guardian Shield ticket into your hand. So for Harmonics Messiah, it's a pretty powerful G unit to play in any deck in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game with its skills. The third skill, just by striding this card to your Vanguard, you can unlock all the locked cards in your field. Thereby, if you face against an opponent that specializes in locking your rear guards to prevent you from getting any advantages in your turn, this G unit alone can unlock them and restore your field to full power and give you the advantages you need to help you pressure or finish off your opponent. And the fourth skill, if you strike this card or if it's face up on your G-Zone at the beginning of your turn, as long as the conditions of the skill are met, not only do you get to put a card on your damage zone to give you a counter blast to use in your turn, but you can also draw a card to restock your hand with. And the 5th skill, while this card is in the G zone, when you ride from grade 0 to grade 1, by paying the cost, you get to add a Guardian Shield ticket to your hand, which can serve as a 20,000 point shield for your upcoming defenses. The grade 4, Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon, Dragonic Overlord to Purge. Skills, first skill, Stride, Stride Step, cost. Choose one or more cards with the same sum of their grades being 3 or greater from hand and discard them. If the cost and paid, strike this card in your Vanguard circle from face down. Second skill, action is the Vanguard once per turn. Cost, choose a face down card from your G zone and turn it face up. Choose a card of Overlord and its card name from hand and put it into your soul. If the cost and paid, if the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone is 4 or less, choose one of your opponent's Vanguards and deal 1 damage. During that damage check, all trigger effects are nullified. Third skill, continuous from the Vanguard, Generation Break 3. This unit has the same number of drive as the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone. So for the Purge, which is a pretty powerful G unit to play in the Kagero deck, especially for the Overlord series. With its skills, the second skill, by paying the cost, not only do you get to deal 1 damage to your opponent, but that damage cannot use any trigger effects, thereby not only do you get to pressure your opponent with early damage before you attack them, but also you can rest easy by knowing that that 1 damage will not get your opponent any trigger effects to hinder your upcoming offensive attacks. And the third skill, depending on the conditions fulfilled by this third skill, you can increase the number of drive checks you can do in 1 turn, giving you the chance to not only get more triggers, but to also restock your hand of the increased drive checks. And okie dokie, the grade 4, Dragonic Overlord to Purge. The grade 4, Flare General Dumbjet Valor. Skills, first skill, Stride, Stride Step, cost. Choose 1 or more cards with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater from hand and discard them. If the cost and paid, strike this card in your Vanguard from face down. Second skill, Auto, as a Vanguard, Blaze. Third skill, Auto, as a Vanguard, when placed, cost. Counterblast 1, and turn a card from your G zone face up. If the cost and paid, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, and this unit gets plus 15,000 shield until end of turn for each Sentinel in your drop zone. Fourth skill, Auto, as a Vanguard, once per turn. When your opponent's Sentinel or G Guardian is placed, you may stand this blazing unit and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. So for Dumbjet Valor, another powerful G unit to play in your Kagero decks with its skills, the second skill. For those of you who've kept up with the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game since the G format, you should know what Blaze is. Whenever a unit on your field attacks, as long as you have more rear guards than your opponent, your Vanguard enters the blazing state. While in the blazing state, you get access to more power or abilities depending on what cards you have in your deck. And the third skill, when straightened by paying the cost, not only do you get to clear your opponent's field of rear guards, but you can also give your Vanguard a huge boost of power. And the best part about this third skill, it's stackable. But by the time you activate the skill, the more Sentinels you have in your drop zone, the more power you give to your Vanguard Dumbjet Valor, giving you a easier chance to pressure or finish off your opponent. And the fourth skill, when the conditions of the fourth skill are met, you can stand up your Vanguard for another attack, giving you more opportunities to pressure or finish off your opponent. The grade 4, Flare Arms, Ziegenberg. Skills, first skill, Stride, Stride Step, cost. Choose 1 or more cards with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater from hand and discard them. If the cost and paid, strike this card in your Vanguard from face down. Second skill, Auto, as a Vanguard, Blaze. Third skill, Action, as a Vanguard, once per turn. Cost, Soul Blast 1 and choose a face down card with the same card name as this unit from your G zone and turn it face up. If the cost and paid, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Fourth skill, Auto, as a Vanguard, once per turn. Generation Break 3. Cost, Counterblast 1 and choose the same number of cards from your hand as the number of your opponent's rear guards and discard them. If the cost and paid, at the end of the battle this unit attacked, if this unit is blazing, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit and it gets drive -2. So for Ziegenberg, another powerful G unit to play in your Kagero decks with its skills, the second skill. Since we already explained what Blaze is during the Dumbjet Valor portion of this video, we're skipping ahead. The third skill, by paying the cost, you can clear your opponent's field of rear guards to give you a better advantage. And then the fourth skill, after attacking, by paying the cost, and if the conditions of the skill are met, you can restand your Vanguard for another attack to give you a chance to pressure or finish them off with. The grade 4, Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon, Zanbus Dragon. Skills, first skill, Stride, Stride Step, cost. Choose 1 or more cards with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater from hand and discard them. If the cost and paid, strike this card on your Vanguard circle from face down. Second skill, Action, as a Vanguard, once per turn. Cost, turn a card from your G zone face up. If the cost and paid, retire all of your opponent's rear guards, and all of your grade 3 or greater units gets plus 10,000 power until end of turn. So for Zanbus Dragon, another powerful G unit to play in your Kagero decks with its skill, second skill. By paying the cost, not only do you get to clear your opponent's field of rear guards, but you can also give the grade 3s in your field, Vanguard and rear included, a huge boost of power, giving you a better chance to pressure finish them off with. And with that, we just about covered the G units. Next, let's get on to the deck's G Guardians. And now for the G Guardians. For the G Guardians in this deck, we are playing 1 Grade 4 Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon, Defeat Flare Dragon. 2 Grade 4 Flamewing Steel Beast, Denial Griffin. And 1 Grade 4 Divine Dragon Knight, Absalam. The Grade 4 Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon, Defeat Flare Dragon. Skills for skill, G Guardian, usable when both fighters' vanguards are grade 3 or greater, and the number of face-up G Guardians in your G zone is 3 or less. Opponent's turn, guard step, choose a card from your with heal from your hand and discard it. If the cost and paid, call this card to your Guardian Circle from face down. Second skill, auto, cost, counterblast 1 and choose 2 grade 3 or greater Flame Dragons from your drop zone, put them to the bottom of your deck in any order. When this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle during battle, your Vanguard Overlord and its card name is attacked by your opponent's Vanguard. You may pay the cost. If you do, retire all of the rear guards in your opponent's back row. So for Defeat Flare Dragon is a G Guardian designed for the Overlord series with its skill, the second skill. When used to guard with and paying the cost, while the conditions of the skill are met, you can retire all of your opponent's back row rear guards, thus allowing you to make your opponent's remaining attacks less likely to hit with the reduced power from losing the back row boosters. The Grade 4 Flamewing Steel Beast, Denial Griffin. Skills for skill, G Guardian, usable when both fighters' vanguards are grade 3 or greater, and the number of face-up G Guardians in your G zone is 3 or less. Opponent's turn, guard step, choose a card with heal from your hand and discard it. If the cost is paid, call this card to your Guardian Circle from face down. Second skill, auto from the Guardian Circle. When placed, cost counterblast 1. If the cost is paid, choose one of your opponent's attacking rear guards and retire it. So for Denial Griffin, a powerful G Guardian to play in your Kagero decks with skill. When used to guard with and paying the cost, you can retire all of one of your opponent's attacking rear guards, making Denial Griffin a pseudo-perfect guard for rear guard attacks. The Grade 4 Divine Dragon Knight, Absalam. Skills for skill, G Guardian, usable when both fighters' vanguards are grade 3 or greater, and the number of face-up G Guardians in your G zone is 3 or less. Opponent's turn, guard step. Cost, choose a card with heal from your hand, discard it. If the cost is paid, call this card to your Guardian Circle from face down. Second skill, auto, cost, counterblast 1. When this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle during battle, your Vanguard was attacked by your opponent's Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, this unit gets plus 10,000 shield until end of battle for each of your opponent's open rear guard circles. So for Absalam, another powerful G Guardian to play in your Kagero decks with its skill. When used to guard with and paying the cost, depending on the conditions of the battlefield, for your Absalam alone can serve as a very powerful protector for your upcoming defense against your opponents. For this unit gets plus 10,000 shield for every empty rear guard circle on your opponent's field. So if you play a Kagero deck that specializes in retiring your opponent's rear guards and your opponent cannot refill them by the time it's time for them to attack, your Absalam can then serve as a very powerful shield against your opponent. And at that, which is about covering the deck's G Guardians. And at that, that's just all the time we have for today. First I want to say is, thank you to the viewers watching today's video, and to please stay tuned for more videos I plan to upload again in the near future. And I also hope you all show support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my videos and channel. And at that I say, goodbye and see you all.